Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning, Your Excellency, as we say in Palau, Ali. I'd like to thank Jennifer and everybody here at Google for putting this on, hosting it, and inviting me. It's a long way from Palau to Southern California. It's on the opposite side of the earth, pretty much. And today, I'm going to talk about Palau and our efforts to create what we call the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. I'm not sure how many people have been to Palau. I know Barbara has. Yeah, okay, how's it going? But we are the westernmost island nation in the Micronesian region. Palau is made up of over 300 volcanic, raised limestone, and atoll islands. And our population hovers at around 17,000 to 20,000 people, making Palau pretty much one of the smallest countries in the world, both in population and in landmass. So there in itself presents a huge amount of challenges for marine domain awareness. Like all people in the Pacific, we're historically connected to the ocean, and the ocean has always been a part of our daily lives. And to this day, we depend heavily on the ocean for our economy, our food, our security, and our identity as Pacific Islanders. I'm sure Your Excellency can relate to that. Because of this, the idea of conservation is not new to us. In fact, we have a tradition called the Bul in Palau, which the president of Palau has spoken on. And it's a type of moratorium imposed on an area once our leaders had deemed that it was becoming depleted of its resources too quickly. And it's a tradition that dates back pre-contact. When village chiefs declared a bull on an area, no one was allowed to fish there until the bull was lifted. And the practice continues to this day, in fact. And you can see certain areas when there's a bull, they'll put a certain marker on that area. No one's allowed to fish there. And it's not enforced by our regulatory structure. It's really just a tradition right there. This practice continues, and it's become the basis of many modern conservation initiatives in Palau, like the world's first shark sanctuary and the Micronesia Challenge, which commits Palau and its Micronesian neighbors to effectively conserve at least 30% of our marine and 20% of our terrestrial resources by 2020. And we're proud to say that we have accomplished that last year, in fact. As you can see, the practice of conservation and managing sustainable marine ecosystems are not new to Palau. And so the declaration by our president last year in New York to create a comprehensive national marine sanctuary encompassing Palau's entire exclusive economic zone, 200 miles out, was just the next logical step for our country. And I believe everyone here would agree that as a whole, not including Iceland, the ocean's resources are not being used in a sustainable manner. Areas where the marine life are protected, like the Coral Sea in Australia and the Phoenix Islands in Kiribati, and the Papa Hanau Mokuakea Marine National Monument, are few and far between. And for the most part, advances in technology have allowed industrial commercial fishing operations to increase their harvest of pelagic and nearshore species to a level that science have shown that is not sustainable. And ultimately, it's small island states like Palau that really pay the price. And firsthand, trust me, we notice the depletion in fish stocks. We're a small community. Many of our citizens are fishermen. I myself have grown up in Palau, fishing there all my life, and I've noticed a severe decline in nearshore and pelagic fish stocks just in the past 5 to 6 years, and it's something that's actually really scary when you see it firsthand. And really, the benefits of large-scale commercial fishing in Palau are minimal. They're a minute fraction of the billions of dollars made annually by the foreign commercial fishing industry. And our president's decision to move away from commercial fishing and create the sanctuary is not Palau's attempt to be green or jump on the conservation bandwagon. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's really what we need to do to ensure that there'll be a functional marine ecosystem for our children and our grandchildren. And it's, as a small nation, it's just one of the few things that we can do, but we're trying. As our president likes to say, our future lies in tourism, not tuna. And we're not trying to push that agenda on any other Pacific country or any country. In fact, it's just what's going to work for us, we believe. The economic benefit from well-protected, healthy marine ecosystem, I think, is worth much more in the long run than the price of the harvest. We believe we can do without that revenue if we focus on ecotourism and sustainable recreational fishing techniques, as well as other environmentally friendly tourism activities. But creating a national marine sanctuary of over 600,000 square kilometers, an area roughly the size of France, is not an easy task. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm sure everybody would agree that many steps that we need to take to realize that goal of a comprehensive marine sanctuary in Palau. And there will be a transition period while we phase out existing fishing licenses with these large-scale companies. Following the declaration by President Remensau last year to create the marine sanctuary, we've come to realize that there are three key components to achieving this goal. And the first is we must find a resource, a funding resource to replace the revenue lost when we move away from commercial fishing. And right now, that dollar amount annually is approximately $4 to $5 million. It's really a drop in the bucket compared to what those companies are making out of Palau, which was, I think, was estimated at about $4 to $5 billion per year. It's pretty grotesque, actually. We do have existing agreements with the U.S., Japan, and several other countries, as well as a small-scale long-lining operation in Palau that we are planning on discontinuing once those outlive their license agreements. And we're looking for partners in both the public and private arena to assist us in replacing that revenue for the short term until we can enhance our tourism and ecotourism industry so we can replace that revenue annually. I think the estimates were probably about 3 to 4 years, and we do have NGOs doing the financial analysis of that project. We are working with NGOs like the Pew Charitable Trusts, the Nature Conservancy, and Conservation International, as well as private contributors to try and find a replacement for that lost revenue. Like I said, Palau is already a shark sanctuary. We are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site and been listed as one of the top 10 ethical tourist destinations in the world. And once again, we've been ranked as a #1 scuba diving destination by many scuba diving magazines. And it just makes sense to take that next step and commit to a sustainable ecotourism-based economy by creating this marine sanctuary. Like I said, our future doesn't go down that path towards high industry commercial fishing. It's leading towards tourism, and we realize that. The second key aspect to ensuring the success of this national marine sanctuary is we must enhance our surveillance and enforcement capacity, and that's why we're here today. The last thing we want to do is pass a law declaring all Palauan waters a marine sanctuary and not have the legal framework or the capacity to back that up. It just won't work. And a recent assessment of our monitoring and control surveillance capacity has shown that we are severely lacking in manpower, technology, training, and most of all, funding to create that capacity to enforce and surveil our waters. We do have existing assets. We have a single patrol boat, which is capable of patrolling our waters, but it's not enough. 600,000 square kilometers is a large swath of ocean. We do work with the U.S. which supplies us the AIS and the VMS data, but everybody here knows that only works when those systems are on. And that only works when boats are compliant. The thing about Palau is we're situated in an area that's really a hotspot for IUU. It's we're only about 300, 400 miles away from Indonesia, the Philippines, areas where everybody knows that there are impoverished communities that have really nothing to lose, and they send small IUU vessels that are not compliant with AIS and VMS systems, and they target areas in Palau that are amazing, pristine marine ecosystems, and they just rape and pillage these areas. It's actually pretty sad. And but you know, we're happy to say that there is support from larger stakeholders in the Pacific. Recently, Japan, through the Nippon Foundation and the Sakuma Foundation, have committed to supply Palau with an additional nearshore patrol boat and to construct a marine enforcement training center, which will be a regional training center, so we can create the capacity to train our own people in these systems, and we don't have to depend so heavily on foreign nations and organizations. But we also do have a ship-rider agreement with the U.S. Palauan patrol officers are allowed to ride on Coast Guard and Navy vessels when they're in the area. That definitely helps, and several IUU vessels have been captured using this technique. Stopping illegal fishing in our waters is definitely a tall order, but we believe that the best hope in making this sanctuary a success is by enhancing our current capacity. We do have systems that are in place, however underfunded and undermanned, that we need to start with as a basis. And then what we'll do is we'll utilize the latest technology, that's why we're here now, to monitor and control our waters. These technological advances in radar, satellite imagery, sonar, as well as unmanned vehicles, both aerial and aquatic, are being assessed for their potential role in a comprehensive enforcement package, like our previous presenter had in Portugal. I was looking at that, I was amazed. I mean, it's basically what we need to enforce our waters, and that's why I so appreciate your invitation today. And being out in Palau, it's very remote. We don't have access to all this great information, and events like this, it's very helpful. But yeah, we are working with Pew to come up with that enforcement package. We're also working with Pacific Command, U.S. Pacific Command, to see how they can contribute. We do have a marine domain awareness working group, and we meet monthly, and we're coming up with, like I said, the strategic plan on how we can enforce our waters. The third key to successfully implementing our marine sanctuary is to ensure that our own people are completely informed on all the issues associated with any commercial fishing in Palau. And really, that's on us. That's and it's key to making this a success, because we can't go out and lobby the world's help when we don't have the support at home. And that all depends on information. Like all large initiatives that are proposed, there are rumors and misinformation that gets around in our community. And like President Grimson said, small villages, news travels quickly, and it might not always be the correct news. We need to let our people know that we are not banning fishing. We come from a country of fishermen. That is our main source of protein, our way of life. We don't, this marine sanctuary is not going to end all fishing in Palau. In fact, what we want to do is we want to focus on artisanal and subsistence-based fishing, so we can support our community. It's our food security, and it's what we need to create this robust tourism industry that we're talking about. We need to feed these tourists something. And hopefully it'll be fish that still exist in our waters. So that's a tall task, and we're up to it. We have community-based information programs trying to inform everybody that this, at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to let the people know that our efforts will only have positive impacts on the environment and our revenue stream and the community and life in Palau. So we get support at home, and then we go out to the world and say, you know, this is what we're trying to do. Please help. We only have 20,000 people in the entire country. There might be more people on this campus right now than the entire country of Palau. So it's a tall order. But you know, I must admit that when I first heard the president's plan to ban all commercial fishing in Palau, I was skeptical. I think a lot of people were. And it's interesting to see who was and who wasn't. And some of the people who you would think would be on board were the ones who were telling us that it couldn't be done, basically. And it was an eye-opener. Never before has a country created a total national marine sanctuary with its entire waters. I believe this is a first. It may not be the largest. It's quite large, but I think it's a first in that aspect. What I've come to realize, though, that this idea, this plan, is not something new. Like I said before, it's not a publicity stunt. Basically, this is a country, its people, and a leader using what we know, using our tradition, using the bull. This bull was created generations ago, and it was created to ensure a sustainable future. What we're doing now, what the president's declaring this bull on all our territorial waters, we're doing it so that there'll be fish for our children and our generations to come. So thank you, everybody. That's just a quick overview of